Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special session on budget changes impacting AIFs, InvITs, and REITs. At this session, you have myself. I'm Parul Jain, and I am primarily, a leader in the funds and the tax practice. And with me is Prashant, who is a leader in our regulatory practice as well as, capital markets practice. So both of us are going to be talking through the changes that have come about in the budget 2021, which are impacting AIFs and InvITs and REITs. So welcome to this session. I think we'll start off with talking about some of the non-tax changes. And Prashant, you've been very integrally involved, with this whole issue regarding AIF units being regarded as securities and, some controversy around it. What change has come out in this budget and, how is it really going to impact AIFs?
Sure, Parul. I think the background to the changes that have been introduced sort of is in the finance bill of last year, where there were certain amendments made to the Stamp Duty Act. What it did was it made the rates applicable to various forms of instrument uniform. And when I say instruments, more particularly on securities and debentures side, it made the rates uniform across the country. And because of which, one of the questions that was more importantly raised at that point in time is the way securities was defined, whether it would also include units of pool investment vehicles. At that time, there was clarity that units of mutual fund, while they will be covered within the scope of securities because they were specifically made part of the definition of securities under SCRA, it was not clear as to whether units of AIF or REITs or InvITs would also be part of that. And I think that is where the amendment that has been proposed by the finance bill of this year, where it included AIFs, mutual funds, REITs, REITs and InvITs all within the definition of a pool investment vehicle. And accordingly, they have also amended Section 2H of SCRA, which defines securities to include both units of, what it says is that units of all pool investment vehicles would also be now regarded as securities. And therefore, the fact that stamp duty imposes a uniform rate of stamp duty on it, whether units of AIF also would now be stamped as per the Indian Stamp Act. I think this is where we get that clarity, and going forward, even the units of an AIF would have to be subjected to stamp duty at the time of their issuances. And I think, so while of course this is more from the stamp duty perspective, but Parul, do you see there are any tax implications of this now that AIF units are being regarded as securities? And more so, do you also see an implication on REITs and InvITs, if at all they will be impacted from the tax side?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Prashant. That's an interesting change. I think we've always deliberated on whether stamp duty needs to be paid, when units of an InvIT or an AIF are being issued. And at one side, this, this rests the controversy, but on the other side, probably opens up other issues with respect to stamp duty. I think more interesting is also, on the tax side, because Section 56 of the Income Tax Act, which deals with issuance or receipt of securities for less than fair market value, that this section will clearly be applicable to units of an AIF now. So transfers of AIF units, InvIT and REIT units, as well as even issuances in certain cases are likely to attract the implications under Section 56. So setup of AIFs and structuring, of these pooled investment vehicles is going to be, extremely critical. So that's really on the AIF part, but a very interesting change which has happened or rather is being proposed in this year's budget is with respect to eligibility of InvITs and REITs, which are looking at borrowing funds. Now, if we just take a step back, what was really happening is that banks were extremely reluctant to lend to InvITs and REITs. And the reason was because the Indian Trust Act did not specifically permit trusts to borrow funds. And borrowing was generally undertaken through general powers given to trustees through the trust deed. The regulators left the decision making with respect to enforceability of the rights of the banks to InvITs and REITs to the lending institutions. And InvITs and REITs were, they were just left in a lurch because they really needed clarity on this aspect so that they're able to, they're able to borrow. While the Trust Act has not been amended, and probably we believe that the Trust Act applies to a larger set of entities, not just REITs and InvITs, but other trusts as well. However, the SCRA, the Securities Contract Regulation Act, has been amended, and this specifically permits pooled investment vehicles to borrow from third persons. So therefore, InvITs, REITs, AIFs, to the extent possible under the SEBI framework, can now borrow in accordance with the SCRA regulations. And more so, the definition of the borrower under Recovery of Debts Due to Banks and Financial Institution Acts, as well as SARFAESI Act, has been expanded to include a pooled investment vehicle. And this is really critical from a bank perspective because the lack of enforcement options were severely impeding the rights of banks, and banks were not comfortable. So this should go a long way in providing comfort to banks and enhancing the ability of pooled investment vehicles, whether these are REITs or InvITs, to borrow. And definitely this is a welcome change. I think even on the tax side, what has happened is that there have been, a couple of changes. On the tax side, when a portfolio company is paying, dividend income to an InvIT, there was a requirement to withhold tax. That requirement has been done away with, given that the InvIT is anyway going to either withhold the tax or take an exemption, depending on the framework that it is that it's eligible for. So the withholding has been done away with. So that's again a welcome change. For AIFs, there was anyway a circular which provided that portfolio companies don't really have to withhold tax at the time of upstreaming income to AIF. So that has been extended to InvITs. It will be interesting to see how this will pay out for interest income, but at least for dividend income, this regime exists. And secondly, another welcome change which has happened more with respect to FPIs is that FPIs now are eligible to take benefit of the tax treaty rates. This was not there earlier in the Income Tax Act. It was only there under specific provisions. So this will enhance the eligibility for FPIs to take advantage of the treaty rates. So I think that's it from our side on changes impacting InvITs and REITs, and we look forward to your comments. And if you have any questions, do feel free to write to us. Our contact details can be found on our website. Thank you so much. Thanks.